Have you ever stopped doing something you truly wanted to do just because someone might laugh at you? Or have you worn clothes you didn't like just to fit in? Or maybe you kept silent when you had something to say just because you thought, what will they think of me? These questions are real. They live in the minds of so many people every day. Imagine a person standing in front of a beautiful painting, but instead of enjoying it, he keeps turning around to check who's watching him. He forgets the beauty in front of him, all because he's thinking too much about others. This is what many people do in life. They forget to live for themselves. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, a place where ancient Buddhist wisdom is shared in the simplest way, so that it can help you live more freely, peacefully, and truly. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please, if you're here, if you find something meaningful, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel. You don't know how much it helps us, and it only takes a second for you. Now, let's understand this deeply. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering comes from clinging to thoughts, to judgments, to fears about how we appear to others. The Buddha never said, be liked. He said, be awake. That means become aware of when your mind is trying to please the world instead of protecting your peace. When someone lives by others' opinions, they become like a leaf in the wind, always moving, never resting. But when they start living by truth and mindfulness, they become like a tree, strong, rooted, unshaken. In the next parts of this series, you'll learn how to stop overthinking what others say, how to live more freely, and how to find your own path with calmness and confidence. But for now, remember this: people's thoughts come and go. What stays with you is how much peace you give to yourself. Let's begin this journey. The roots of social fear in the mind. Sit down gently. Let your breath slow down. Let's talk like two travelers sitting by a quiet river. You are not broken. You're just a little lost. And that is all right. Now listen carefully. From the time we are small, people teach us many things. They teach us how to speak, how to dress, how to walk, how to behave. But rarely do they teach us how to be free from fear, especially fear about others. This fear, what others think, what they will say, how they might judge, is like a quiet shadow. It walks behind us in silence. We try to act brave, smile in the crowd, laugh when others laugh. But inside, something is trembling. This fear is not born in one day. It grows slowly. One sentence from a parent, one laugh from a classmate, one rejection, one moment where you are not accepted, and the mind records it. The mind is like a sponge. It soaks up every look, every word, every silence. Then it starts whispering, be careful, don't stand out, don't speak too much, don't be too different. And soon, you start living for others, not for yourself. But the Buddha saw this very clearly. He said, what you think, you become. What you fear, you attract. What you imagine, you create. So if your mind is full of fear about others, you are living in a world made by that fear. It is like building your house on sand. Let me tell you a small story. A monk once walked through a village. The children laughed at his robe. The men mocked his bald head. The women whispered about how strange he looked. But the monk smiled and kept walking. Later, his student asked, Master, didn't their words hurt you? The monk replied, if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong? The student answered, to the one who tried to give it. The monk nodded, exactly. Their words never reached me. This is the teaching. What others say is their karma. What you choose to carry is yours. Now, think about your own life. How many days have you changed your behavior? Not because you wanted to, but because they might not like it? How many times did you keep quiet, even when your heart wanted to speak? Every time we do this, a small part of our true self gets hidden. We become like actors in a play, reading lines we don't believe in, wearing costumes that don't fit. But life is not a stage. Life is too precious to live for applause. In Buddhism, we are taught to look at the mind like a garden. If you plant seeds of fear and comparison, you will grow weeds that choke your peace. But if you plant mindfulness, truth, and compassion, then calmness blooms. Where does this fear truly come from? It comes from attachment. Attachment to image, reputation, praise. We want others to see us in a certain way. And when we feel they don't, we suffer. But the Zen path is different. We do not chase approval. We walk in silence, rooted in awareness, not blown by every voice we hear. There's a Zen saying, when the wind blows, the grass bends. But the mountain stays still. Be the mountain. Don't bend every time someone speaks. Let me guide you through a simple practice. Next time someone looks at you with judgment, pause, breathe in, ask yourself, does this look define me? Breathe out. Let it go. When a thought comes, what will they think if I do this? Smile gently. Say in your heart, let them think. I will live. This is not pride. This is not arrogance. This is inner dignity. A true practitioner is not one who is never judged, but one who is not shaken by judgment. Now, here's something else. Many people you fear are themselves afraid. The person you worry about, they're worried about someone else. It's a circle. Everyone is trapped in the same illusion. But you can step out of it right now by realizing that no one can walk your path for you. Yes, people will talk. Some will like you. Some will not. Some will support you. Some will laugh. Let them. The Buddha did not please everyone. Even he was insulted, doubted, criticized. But he walked in peace because he understood. The world is full of opinions. Let them pass like clouds. You are not here to carry every cloud. You are here to see the sky. As you start to let go of this fear, something beautiful will happen. You will feel lighter. Your smile will become real. You will walk more freely. In the world, it will not stop. But you will stop needing its approval. The sound of others' voices will still be there, but it won't echo inside your mind anymore. That is freedom. That is Zen. So walk slowly. Walk mindfully. Don't run after praise. Don't hide from judgment. Live in your truth. When you meet someone who lives without this fear, you feel it immediately. They speak less, but their words are true. They do less, but everything they do carries peace. Be like that. A person who lives simply, thinks clearly, and does not waste energy wondering, what do they think of me? There is no final answer in the opinions of others. There is only confusion. But inside you, if you are still enough, you will hear something pure, a quiet knowing that says, this is me. I am enough. Let that voice grow, and everything else will slowly fade. Close your eyes now. Breathe in deeply. Feel how far you've come. You're not here to impress. You are here to awaken. Let's continue walking. The next steps will show you even more peace. But for now, let go of who you think you need to be for others. And just be what the Buddha taught about comparison. Come closer, sit down. Let me tell you something simple, yet powerful. You see, comparison is like drinking salty water when you're thirsty. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. You never feel full. You never feel enough. You only feel more and more empty. That is what the Buddha saw in people's hearts long ago, and it's what many still suffer from today. Let me explain. Every time you compare your life with another person's life, you take your attention away from your own path. It's like walking through a peaceful forest, but constantly turning your head to see if someone else is walking faster, carrying a better stick, or wearing fancier shoes. You don't see your own flowers. You don't hear your own birds. You lose your own moment. Now, you may ask, isn't comparison natural? Yes, it may arise. The Buddha never said to fight your thoughts. He said, observe them, understand them, and let go of what harms your peace. When you see someone who has more money, more beauty, more followers, or more fame, instead of saying, I wish I was them, try asking, why am I not happy being me? Let me tell you a short story. There was once a monk who always looked sad. He had food, shelter, robes, and peace, yet something felt wrong. One day, the Buddha asked him, why is your heart not still? The monk replied, because others are more learned than me. Others are more disciplined. Others are praised. I'm just ordinary. The Buddha smiled gently and said, when the moon shines, do you tell it to become the sun? When a bird sings, do you ask it to roar like a lion? You are not born to be anyone else. You are here to be you, fully and simply. This is what we must remember. In our daily lives, we scroll through photos, watch people's lives, hear success stories, and without realizing it, we feel smaller. But let's look closer. Are those photos the full truth? Are those smiles showing the real inside? The Buddha taught, everything that arises also passes. What looks shiny today may be broken tomorrow, and what looks quiet today may be blooming inside. The only way to be truly free is to walk your path with awareness. The Buddha called this sati, or mindfulness. When you walk with mindfulness, you see your own steps clearly. You don't look left or right, you look within. People today compare almost everything. Who's more successful? Who's more fit? Who speaks better? Who is loved more? But the Buddha showed us, the root of comparison is craving, tanha, craving to be special, to be admired, to be seen. And craving always brings suffering. Why? Because it is endless. You reach one peak and see another. You win one prize and want a bigger one. You receive one compliment and soon need 10 more. The hunger grows, but there's a way out. Instead of comparing, practice mudita. Mudita is a beautiful Pali word. It means sympathetic joy or gladness in others' happiness. When someone does well, instead of feeling jealous, feel happy for them. Why? Because their success doesn't take anything away from you. The sky is big enough for all stars to shine. The Zen way is to live simply, to appreciate deeply, and to let go of unnecessary weight. Comparison is heavy. It makes your heart tired. But contentment, santuthi, makes your heart light like a feather. And with a light heart, even small things bring joy. A warm cup of tea, a calm breath, a single flower blooming by the roadside. You don't need to have what others have. You need to see what you already have. Let me tell you something even simpler. A mango tree never tries to grow apples. It only gives mangoes, and it gives them quietly, patiently, season after season. If the mango tree started comparing itself to the coconut tree, it would go mad. But it doesn't. It stands tall in its own truth. That is the way. Now, some people might say, but comparison helps me improve. Ah, yes, there's a difference between inspiration and comparison. Inspiration uplifts you. Comparison lowers you. Inspiration says, that's possible for me too. Comparison says, why am I not like them? One gives energy. The other drains it. You must learn the art of quiet appreciation. The Buddha never rushed. He never competed. He walked slowly, saw clearly, and lived deeply. He didn't compare himself to kings or priests. He simply lived as he was, a seeker of truth, a giver of peace. If you truly want peace, stop comparing. Start observing. Start learning. Start growing. You have your own strengths. You have your own timing. Just like a lotus doesn't bloom in one day, your journey needs patience. It's okay to be behind. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be slow. Just don't be blind to your own beauty. Another thing to understand is this. Many people hide their struggles. What you compare yourself to might be a mask. People show you their victories, not their tears. They show their filtered life, not their messy kitchen. So you must not measure your raw, real life against someone else's polished story. The Buddha taught us to focus on our own karma, our actions, thoughts, and intentions. If someone else succeeds by lying or harming others, that is their karma. You don't need to compete with that. You just need to water your own seeds. And what are those seeds? Kindness, honesty, mindfulness, gratitude, effort. These are not seen on social media. They don't get likes, but they build peace inside you. And one day, that peace will shine through your face, your actions, your voice. That is the success no one can take from you. You're not in a race. You're in a journey. And the only person you need to be better than is the one you were yesterday. Let others run fast. Let others shine bright. You walk with your breath. You smile with your soul. You don't need to be louder, richer, or better looking. You only need to be true, present, and kind. The Buddha once said, you, yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and affection. But how can you love yourself if you keep wishing to be someone else? Drop the habit of comparison. It brings no joy. Celebrate your life with all its ups and downs. Look in the mirror and smile, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Look at your past and be proud, not because it's shiny, but because you grew. Look at others with love, not envy. And look at your path with trust, not doubt. Comparison ends where self-awareness begins. Walk your own road. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle. And always remember, lotuses grow in muddy water. And still they bloom. Quietly. Beautifully. Without comparing. That's the way of the Buddha. That's the way of peace. When you return to yourself, truly, there is nothing missing. Escaping the trap of external validation. Sit quietly, my dear one. Let me tell you a story, not of kings or warriors, but of something far more dangerous than swords, the endless need for others to approve of you. It starts early. A child draws something with love and color. The moment someone says, "Wow, that's good," the child smiles. But when no one says anything, doubt creeps in. Was it not good enough? And just like that, the seed of seeking validation is planted. You grow up. You speak, you dress, you walk, you post things online. Not because they feel right to you, but because you hope others will clap, like comment, smile, nod. And when they don't, you shrink inside. You doubt your own worth. But I ask you this, why should the value of your life be in someone else's hands? In Buddhism, the Buddha taught the concept of 8 worldly winds: gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disgrace, pleasure and pain. These are the things the mind chases or runs away from. But a wise one learns not to be moved by them. Why? Because praise is sweet like honey, but it also sticks. And when you're stuck to praise, blame will hurt even more. When you chase fame, disgrace feels like death. You become trapped, not by others, but by your own mind chasing their reactions. Let me ask you, have you ever done something beautiful, something meaningful, and yet felt empty because no one noticed? That's the trap of external validation. Now imagine this. There is a quiet pond. It does not ask the birds to sing. It does not ask the wind to compliment its stillness. And yet, in its calm surface, the whole sky reflects. Be like that pond. Do not beg others to see your worth. Simply be still, and your truth will shine. A person who always seeks applause will one day dance to a tune they don't even like, just because the crowd claps. But a person who listens to the inner drum dances freely, whether anyone watches or not. There was once a monk. People would come to him and say, "You are wise." He would bow and say, "Maybe." Others would say, "You are foolish." He would bow and say, "Maybe." He knew that neither praise nor insult could change who he truly was. Ask yourself, do you know who you truly are without needing others to remind you? When someone calls you kind, do you become kind? When someone calls you cruel, do you suddenly become cruel? Of course not. These are just sounds in the air. But the problem is, your mind grabs onto them like a hungry bird. And in that grasping, you forget your own song. Buddhism teaches the middle way. Not too much pride, not too much shame. Just balance. You are neither as great as people say, nor as terrible as others may judge. You are simply human, growing, changing, learning. And this learning includes knowing that validation is like a mirage. It keeps pulling you forward, but when you reach it, it vanishes. You do more, hoping someone will say, "Well done." And when they don't, your spirit sags. Why? Because your motivation was not truth. It was approval. Let me share another short story. A man once came to the Buddha and began shouting, insulting, trying to provoke him. The Buddha listened quietly, then asked, "If someone brings you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man said, "To the one who brought it." Buddha smiled, "Just so. I do not accept your anger. It remains yours." Now think of this lesson not only for insult, but also for praise. If someone praises you and you do not let it cling to your ego, then it remains theirs. You stay peaceful. The trap is not the praise. The trap is in believing it. Not because it's bad, but because it becomes your food. And when people stop feeding you, you starve. So stop feeding your spirit with others' opinions. Feed it with silence, truth, action, and love. Sometimes you will do your best and no one will notice. That is okay. The moon does not announce its brightness. It simply shines. Sometimes you will fail and everyone will laugh. That is okay too. The tree does not stop growing because someone throws stones at it. A Zen student once asked his master, how can I be free from the opinions of others? The Master said, first, be free from your own opinions about yourself. Then theirs won't matter. Do you see? The moment you stop being your own harsh critic, the world's judgments lose their power. Validation is often a game of mirrors. You hold up a mirror and say, please reflect something nice back to me. But what if you become the light itself? Then no mirror is needed. Walk your path, child, with humility and honesty. Let people talk. Let them think. They are busy with their minds. Don't let their busy thoughts cloud your still heart. Don't be the person who only feels happy when praised. Be the person who feels happy for doing what is right, what is kind, what is true, even when no one watches. Your smile is sacred when it comes from within. Your silence is holy when it is full of peace. Your strength is real when it does not wait for applause. So today, release the chain of needing to be seen. Live with awareness. Speak from compassion. Act with integrity. And when no one claps, keep going, because that's when you're truly free. Reclaiming inner freedom through awareness. The Zen Master sat beneath the old Bodhi tree. The leaves above him rustled gently in the wind. A few students sat close, waiting for his words. But he did not speak at once. He listened to the wind. Then he looked up, smiled gently, and began. My child, he said softly, if you place a mirror in the middle of a busy road, what will it reflect? Every car, every passerby, every dust that blows across. Now imagine if that mirror had a mind of its own and began to worry. Why did that man frown? Why did that woman not look at me? Wouldn't the mirror go mad? The students chuckled lightly, but the Zen Master's eyes remained still. This is how the human mind works. It keeps reflecting what others say, think, or feel, and it begins to own those reflections. You see, freedom is not outside you. It is not something others give you. It is something you uncover within when you stop letting others rent space in your mind. He paused again. Many people live like puppets. They dress, speak, behave, even dream according to what others expect. And then they wonder why they feel tired, empty, restless. It is because their life is not their own. They are always adjusting, bending, pleasing, not out of love, but out of fear. This fear is subtle. It hides behind smiles, behind achievements, behind politeness. But it is fear still. The Zen Master looked at a small stone near his foot and picked it up. This stone does not worry if you call it ugly, nor does it jump in joy if you praise it. It simply is. That is freedom. The Buddha taught us that the first step to awakening is awareness. To become aware of how your mind reacts, of how quickly it jumps to defend, to prove, to compare, to fit in. If you can simply see your thoughts without becoming them, something begins to change. The students leaned in. One of them asked, Master, but how do we do that? How do we stop caring what others think? The Master smiled again, as if he had heard that question 1,000 times. You do not fight the thoughts, he said. You observe them. With calm breath, you sit in silence. And when a thought like they don't like me arises, you look at it gently and ask, is this true? Even if it is, so what? What is more important, being liked by the world or being true to yourself? Most people never ask this. They just continue living like shadows in someone else's light. The Master then told a short story. There was once a monk who was insulted by a passerby. The man shouted, cursed, and called him useless. The monk smiled. The man asked, why are you smiling? Aren't you angry? The monk replied, if someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The man said, to the giver. The monk said, then I don't accept your insults. They remain with you. That, dear ones, is true inner freedom. He looked at the students again, this time more directly. You may walk into a room, and 10 people may have 10 opinions. One will think you're kind. Another may think you're a fake. One may say you're intelligent. Another may say you're too quiet. If you try to please all, you will become 1,000 versions of yourself and still be unhappy. But if you remain rooted like the tree, if you keep returning to your breath, your truth, your silence, no one can shake you. He gently folded his hands and continued. In Buddhism, we practice sati, mindfulness, not just in meditation, but in daily life. When someone speaks, we listen not just with ears, but with clarity. We notice the feelings it brings. Do we shrink? Do we flare up? Or do we simply observe? When we walk with full awareness. When we speak, we choose words with care, not to impress, but to express truth. This way of living brings lightness. Another student spoke up, "But Master, sometimes we care because we love. We want to be accepted." The Master nodded gently. Love is not attachment. Wanting to be accepted is natural. But needing it to feel worthy is a prison. Real love does not demand your shape to change. It sees your essence. And when you learn to accept yourself fully, flaws, fears, and all, you stop needing permission from the world to be who you are. The wind grew slightly stronger now. The leaves above danced softly. In silence, the Master said, "The truth is loud. Go sit beside a river. It does not ask the mountains if it should flow. It does not wait for the forest to clap for it. It flows because that is its nature. You must find your own flow. That is what the Buddha called Dhamma, the natural law. Live in tune with it, and peace follows. Go against it, and suffering grows." He stood up slowly and began walking. Awareness is not just sitting with eyes closed. It is walking into the world with open eyes and a quiet heart. It is hearing praise and criticism as the same, just noise carried by wind. Don't be blown away. Be like the mountain. Still, deep, unshaken. He looked back at the students and gave one final message for the day. If you truly want to stop thinking so much about others, start thinking more deeply about who you are and why you are here. Life is not a stage for endless performances. It is a path for awakening. Every step you take toward inner truth is a step away from outer noise. And with that, the Zen Master walked into the forest path, his presence leaving behind a silence louder than words. The silent suffering of overthinking others' views. Come closer. Sit down. Breathe. Let me tell you something most people carry inside like a hidden stone, heavy, silent, invisible to others, but always present. People suffer, not always from hunger, not always from sickness, not always from broken bones. Sometimes they suffer because they're thinking too much about what someone else might be thinking about them. And the saddest part? Most of those someone else's aren't even thinking about them at all. This is what I call silent suffering. The mind becomes a noisy room. Every corner of the room whispers, "Did they laugh at me? What if I made a mistake? Why didn't they reply to my message? Did I say something wrong?" And without anyone saying a word, you already feel rejected, judged, unloved. Do you see the strange part? Nothing even happened outside. The battle was all inside. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like water. When it is calm, it reflects everything clearly. But when it is disturbed by wind, like the wind of fear or insecurity or doubt, it becomes blurry. And in that blur, you lose the truth. Now, tell me, how many hours have you wasted worrying about something that never even happened? The Buddha never told us to run from people. He told us to understand our minds. He said, "Whatever you think, that you become." If you keep thinking that others are against you, soon you live your life defending yourself from attacks that aren't even real. And in doing that, you hurt yourself more than anyone else could. One young monk once came to me. He said, "Master, I feel tired, not from work, but from wondering all the time if people like me or not." I asked him, "How many people do you see every day?" He said, "Maybe 10 or 20. I said, "And how many people are in this world?" He said, "Billions." Then I asked, "If you are already tired from 10 people, what will you do with 10,000? That monk laughed, but I saw tears in his eyes, because he realized something important. He was trying to carry too many opinions in his small hands. And hands meant for peace were becoming hands of worry. Let me explain something clearly. People's opinions are like passing clouds. Sometimes white, sometimes dark, sometimes heavy, sometimes disappearing fast. If you keep trying to catch every cloud, you'll forget to enjoy the sky. There was a woman who always wore bright clothes, smiled at everyone, and said yes to everything. People liked her. But at night, in her room, she cried. Why? Because every day, She had to hide her real self just to be liked. And one day she asked me, "Master, why do I feel so lonely even when people admire me?" I said, "Because they admire a mask, not your face. You cannot feel loved if you're not being yourself." So many people today are living like that, looking perfect outside, broken inside. But Buddhism teaches us to go inward, not to ignore the world, but to understand our place in it. The Buddha said, "Be a lamp unto yourself," which means don't wait for others to shine their light on you. Light your own way. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're in a garden. There are many flowers, red, yellow, white, blue. Each one is different. Now imagine if one flower kept saying, "I wish I looked like that flower," or "What if the bees don't like me?" What would happen? That flower would lose its own bloom. It would forget how beautiful it already is. But flowers don't think like that. They just bloom. They just be. That is the way. People are like flowers, but their minds pull them away from blooming. The pain of overthinking others' opinions is not just mental. It becomes physical too. You feel in your chest, in your stomach, in your breathing, and it grows slowly, like a plant watered every day by your own thoughts. So how do we stop it? The first step is awareness. Catch the moment when your mind begins to spin, when it starts asking, "What did she mean by that?" Or "Why did they ignore me?" Pause. Ask yourself, "Is this true? Or is this my fear speaking?" Second, give yourself kindness. In Buddhism, we practice metta, loving kindness, but not just toward others, to ourselves too. Speak to yourself gently, like you would speak to a child. It's okay. Not everyone will like you, and that's not your job. Third, return to the present. Most of the fear of others' opinions lives in imagination, in a future that hasn't come, in a past that cannot be changed. But the present? It's peaceful. In this very moment, right now, is there a problem? Or is it your mind creating one? And finally, realize that people forget. Yes, that's the truth. People are busy. They have their own thoughts, their own fears, their own problems. That awkward thing you said last week, they don't remember. That silence you're worrying about, it wasn't even personal, but you keep it alive by replaying it again and again in your head. Let go. In Buddhist practice, there's a teaching. When you let go, you are free. You don't have to fight the thoughts. Just don't feed them. Let them pass like birds flying in the sky. Watch them. Don't chase them. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to awaken. And when you stop thinking too much about others, you'll notice something beautiful. Your shoulders relax, your breath becomes deeper, your eyes softer, and your heart lighter. This is the silent joy that comes after releasing the silent suffering. One day, when you're old and sitting in silence, you won't remember who liked your post, or who didn't reply to your message, or who judged your clothes. You'll only remember whether you lived true to yourself or not. So start today. Start now. Let your mind breathe. Let go of what doesn't matter. And remember, the sky never worries about the clouds. The mountain never bows to the wind. And you too don't have to bend for every thought that passes. This is the way of peace. This is the way of the Buddha. And this is the freedom waiting inside you. Keep walking, dear listener. The path is silent, but the heart will know the way. Training the mind to stay grounded. Dear friend, listen carefully. The mind is like a wild horse. If left untamed, it will run in many directions, chasing after thoughts, worries, and the opinions of others. It jumps here and there, restless and never satisfied. This wildness makes us suffer because we lose the calm center inside ourselves. In our modern world, distractions come from every side. The noise of other people's judgments, the endless stories we tell ourselves about what others think. These are like storms that shake a small boat on the ocean. How can a small boat survive when it is tossed by waves? The answer is to find the anchor inside the mind, to train the mind to stay grounded, like a great tree that stands firm in wind and rain. How does one train such a restless mind? The Buddha gave us many teachings, but one simple truth is this: training the mind is like training a muscle. It needs practice, patience, and kindness. Just as you would not expect to lift heavy weights on the first day, You cannot expect your mind to calm down instantly. But with gentle daily effort, the wild horse of the mind begins to slow down. First, notice your breath. The breath is always with you. It does not ask for anything. It flows naturally in and out, steady and calm. When the mind starts to race, bring your attention to your breath. Feel it enter your nose, fill your lungs, and leave your body. This simple act is the first step in grounding the mind. It reminds you to come back to this moment, away from worries about others. Next, practice mindfulness. Mindfulness means being fully aware of what is happening now, without judgment, without rushing. When you eat, eat fully. Taste every bite. When you walk, feel your feet touching the ground. When a thought about others' opinions arises, notice it as if it were a cloud passing in the sky. Do not hold on to it. Do not push it away. Simply watch it and let it float away. Remember, training the mind is not about fighting thoughts. It is about understanding them and not letting them control you. Just as a wise farmer lets the rain water the fields, but does not let the flood destroy the crops, so too must we let thoughts come and go without losing our calm. Another practice the Buddha taught is compassion, not only for others but also for yourself. When you notice your mind wandering into worry about what others think, be kind to yourself. Say silently, "It is okay. I am learning." This kindness softens the mind's harshness and helps it return to peace more easily. You may wonder, how long will this take? The journey of training the mind is lifelong. There is no quick fix, but each moment you bring your attention back to the breath, to kindness, and to awareness, you build a stronger foundation inside yourself. This foundation cannot be shaken by others' opinions or harsh words. The Zen Master once said, "To train the mind is to find the place where the noise stops." This place is your true self, not the mask you wear for others, but the stillness within. It is always there, waiting for you to come home. One story tells of a monk who struggled with fears about what others thought of him. One day, the master asked him to sit quietly and watch the river. The monk saw the water flow peacefully past stones and fallen leaves. The master said, "Your thoughts are like this river. Do not try to stop the water. Let it flow. Your task is to remain like the riverbank, steady, unmoved, and calm." You see, training the mind is not about controlling everything outside, but about being steady inside. When a mind is grounded, others' opinions lose their power to disturb. You begin to live with freedom, courage, and clarity. Practice this daily. When you wake up, take a moment to sit quietly and feel your breath. When you feel restless, return to this breath again. When a mind chases thoughts about others, pause and remind yourself, "This is not my true path. My peace is my path." In time, you will notice a change. Your heart will feel lighter. Your mind will be more peaceful. You will smile more often, not because the world is perfect, but because you have found a steady home within yourself. Remember, the training of the mind is the greatest journey you will ever take. It is not easy, but it is simple. Like planting a seed and watching it grow, your effort will bloom into wisdom and freedom. Walk gently, friend. The wild horse can become a loyal companion when treated with patience and love. The storms will still come, but you will stand like a mountain, unmoved and strong. This is the path of training the mind to stay grounded. Wisdom over worry, choosing peace over pleasing. Sit with me for a moment. Just breathe. Nothing to do. Nowhere to go. Just you in this moment. Now I ask you, why do you worry so much about being liked? Why do you twist and bend yourself to fit into shapes others expect? Have you ever noticed how heavy this is? Trying to please everyone, it is like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how tightly you hold, it slips away, and still you try again. Let me tell you a small story. There was a young monk who wanted everyone in the village to like him. He smiled at everyone, said what others wanted to hear, did whatever was asked of him. For a while, people praised him. But one day, he forgot to greet a man on the road. That man got angry and called him proud. The monk was hurt. He asked the master, "Why does one mistake wash away all the good I've done?" The master replied, "Because you are building your house in their minds. One storm there, and your house collapses. So simple, yet so deep. In this life, the more you try to please people, the more you lose touch with your real self. Buddhism teaches us to choose peace over pleasing. Pleasing is endless. Peace is within. You must understand this clearly. Pleasing others is not the same as being kind. Being kind comes from love. Pleasing comes from fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being alone. Fear of being judged. But ask yourself, if you are changing yourself just to be accepted, who is being accepted? Not the real you, only the mask you wear. And what is the cost of that mask? Your peace. The Buddhist said, better to live one day by your own truth than 100 years under the chains of others' expectations. Most people are living inside a cage, and the door is open. The cage is made of what will they say? What if they don't agree? How will they see me? But what is the truth? The truth is, they are not even thinking about you as much as you think. People are mostly thinking about themselves. So why carry their imagined thoughts in your real life? Let me share a real practice. Next time someone expects you to behave in a way that doesn't feel true to you, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, am I doing this from peace or from fear? If it's fear, step back. If it's peace, go ahead. When we let go of the need to be liked, something magical happens. We become likable in a deeper way. Not because of our smile or our words, but because we become real. And real always touches the heart. Peace doesn't mean you avoid people. It means you stop being controlled by them. Pleasing everyone is like pouring water into a bottomless pot. You pour and pour, but it never fills. But peace is like a well. Deep, still, quiet. It gives without effort. Now, let me ask you a quiet question. When was the last time you sat with yourself and asked, what do I want? Not what others expect, not what looks good, not what makes people clap, but what makes you breathe easier. That is your path. In Buddhist practice, we talk about right intention. It means doing things for the right reasons. Not to gain attention, not to be seen as good, but to be aligned with truth. When your actions match your inner wisdom, you feel light. You walk gently. You sleep peacefully. But when your actions are always shaped by others' expectations, you become tired. Even your smile becomes heavy. Now I'll tell you something you already know, but often forget. No matter what you do, someone will disapprove. Someone will not like it. That is natural. Even the Buddha had enemies. Even when he walked with peace, some people threw words at him like stones. So, if even the awakened one could not please everyone, why are you trying? Instead of trying to please the world, why not try to understand it? Understand that people's reactions often come from their own pain, not your mistake. Understand that what they say reveals their mind, not your truth. Understand that the need to be liked is only a thought, not a law. You are allowed to release it. Let go. Breathe. Stand still in your truth. Sometimes silence is stronger than explanation. Sometimes being misunderstood is better than being dishonest. Sometimes walking away is better than pleasing someone who never sees you. You don't owe anyone a performance. In Zen, we say sit. Just sit. Not to be good. Not to be liked. Not even to be wise. Just to be. To sit with your breath. To sit with your truth. To sit with your peace. That's enough. The world will always have its opinions. Some will praise. Some will blame. That's their path. Let them walk it. You, walk your own. Do you hear that? The quiet voice inside you. It's soft, but it's real. It says, I just want to be free. That is not selfish. That is sacred. Stop editing yourself for a world that doesn't even notice the effort. Stop apologizing for being what your heart is calling you to be. Stop shrinking so others can feel big. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to not explain everything. Choose peace. Let me leave you with one more story. A student asked the master, how do I become wise? The master said, drop the weight you're carrying. The student replied, which weight? The master smiled, the one that says you must be perfect in everyone's eyes. That is the weight you drop now. Not tomorrow. Not when they understand you. Now. So from this moment, decide to let go of the invisible chains. Smile, not to please, but because you feel peace. Speak, not to impress, but to express. Live, not for approval, but for truth. This is not rebellion. This is real living. And real living begins when pleasing ends. Sit in stillness now. Let the world go where it goes. You stay here calm, grounded at peace. This is the power of choosing wisdom over worry. This is the beauty of choosing peace over pleasing. And this is the way of the awakened. Developing confidence without ego. Sit down, my friend. Breathe gently. Let the noise of the world settle like dust in still water. Today, I will tell you something important. Something many people never learn, even after many years of struggle. It is about confidence, but not the kind you often see on stages or in loud voices. Not the kind that wants to prove something. I will speak of a quiet, strong confidence. A confidence without ego. A confidence that grows like bamboo, soft yet unbreakable. Now listen carefully. Most people think confidence means you must become bigger than others. You must be bold, loud, always certain. They think to be confident is to win, to be right, to shine the brightest. But this is not the way of truth. This is not the way of Buddha. That kind of confidence is hollow. It is like a balloon, large and floating, but filled with nothing but air. Poke it just once, and it pops. True confidence is different. It is silent like the mountain. It does not need to shout. It does not need to compare. It does not need applause. It simply is. That is what I wish for you to understand. And not just understand with your head, but feel in your heart, live it in your breath, carry it in your steps. You see, ego always whispers in your ear, you must be better than them. But wisdom smiles and says, you must be true to yourself. The moment you stop competing with others, a deep calm enters your being. That calm is your real power. The Buddha was a prince once, surrounded by luxury, wealth, and praise. But he left it all, not because he lacked confidence, but because he had found something greater than ego. He had found clarity. He had seen that chasing the outside world only leads to more hunger. He turned within. He sat under the Bodhi tree, not to impress, not to perform, but to understand. That is confidence. Now ask yourself, do you truly know yourself? Or are you just trying to impress others so they will tell you who you are? If they say you're great, you smile. If they say you are nothing, you fall. This is not confidence. This is slavery. You are handing your worth to other people's hands like a coin tossed to the crowd. Confidence without ego means, I know who I am, even when the world is silent. Let me give you a small example. A flower does not bloom for attention. It opens because it is its nature to do so. Whether someone sees it or not, whether someone praises it or walks past it, it continues to bloom. That is the way of the wise. You can become like that flower, confident in your truth, not needing to prove it, just living it. And do you know how to do that? You start by being deeply honest with yourself. When you sit in silence, with no phone, no mirror, no voices, who are you then? If you can sit peacefully in your own company, without pretending, without performing, that is the beginning of real confidence. You no longer need a stage. Your life becomes the stage. Your smile becomes the light. Sometimes, people confuse confidence with arrogance. But remember this, ego separates, confidence connects. Ego says, I am above you. Confidence says, I am with you. Ego demands attention. Confidence offers presence. Ego is loud. Confidence is calm. Now I will tell you a story. It is short, but it carries deep truth. There was a Zen student who always hesitated to speak. He doubted himself. He thought his words were not wise enough, not clever enough. One day, he asked his master, why do I feel afraid to speak in front of others? The master handed him a cup of tea and said, drink. The student drank. Now tell me, said the master, did the tea ask you to impress it? The student shook his head. Did the tea expect you to speak in a clever way before you drank it? Again, the student shook his head. The master smiled. Exactly. You drank the tea because you were thirsty. Speak the truth because it is needed, not because you want approval. Let your heart be like this cup. Simple, empty, ready to offer, not worried about how it looks. The student understood. This is the way. Confidence grows when you stop decorating your image and start refining your soul. It is not about how people see you. It is about how clearly you see yourself. Now, some of you may ask, but how do I stop comparing myself to others? It begins with awareness. Watch your thoughts like clouds. When you see comparison arise, do not chase it. Just notice it and gently return to yourself. Ask, what am I doing right now that truly matters? Then focus on that. The Buddha never compared himself. He simply walked his path. Every step was taken with presence. Not to win, not to show, just to walk in truth. That is all you need. Each time you return to your breath, to your work, to your inner clarity, you strengthen your confidence. Let's also speak about failure. Many people lose confidence when they fail. But failure is not your enemy. It is your best teacher. Ego says, you failed. You are worthless. Wisdom says, you failed. You are learning. The person who fails and still stands up has more confidence than the one who never tried. So, do not fear mistakes. Fear not learning from them. Confidence is built with every honest step you take, even if the world does not clap for it. And one more thing, my dear one, let go of the need to explain yourself all the time. You do not owe everyone a story. You do not need to defend your peace. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to walk away quietly with a steady heart. Let your actions speak. Let your stillness speak. Let your joy speak. And slowly, without even trying, people will feel your presence. They will sense your calm. That is the energy of true confidence. It inspires without controlling. It leads without forcing. In Buddhism, we say Tara is suchness, the quality of being just as you are. That is what we return to. That is what confidence without ego looks like. Being fully yourself, fully present, fully at peace, with no mask. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel your body, your breath, your being. This is enough. You are enough. Let your confidence grow like a seed. Quiet, steady, faithful. Do not rush. Do not compare. Just keep watering it with truth. And remember, the strongest tree grows slowly. But when it stands, it shades others with its presence. Be that tree. Be that presence. And walk your path, gently, but without fear. From noise to clarity, a meditative approach. Sit quietly for a moment. Close your eyes and just listen. What do you hear? Perhaps the sound of a fan, a bird, some traffic outside. Maybe even the soft hum of your own breath. But what's louder than all these? Your thoughts. Even when the world is silent, the mind continues to chatter. This is the noise we speak of, not just sound from the outside, but the endless stream of voices inside. Some of these voices come from your past, something someone said that hurt you. Others come from fear about the future, wondering what might happen. And a large part comes from thinking too much about others, what they think, what they feel, how they judge, what they might say behind your back. The truth is, this noise is not really you. It's only the echo of the world that you have unknowingly carried inside. Now, the question arises, how do you move from all this noise to clarity? The answer, my dear one, lies in meditation. But don't be scared by that word. Meditation is not about doing something big. It is simply the art of being with yourself. It's the practice of watching your own mind patiently like a loving friend. Let me explain with a very simple story. A man once came to the Buddha, saying, "My mind is full of thoughts. I feel restless. I am tired. How do I find peace?" The Buddha smiled and handed him a bowl of water. "Stir it," he said. The man stirred it. The water became muddy. Then the Buddha said, "Now let it sit." As the man watched, slowly the mud settled. The water became clear again. "This is your mind," said the Buddha. "You don't need to fight your thoughts. You only need to sit quietly and let them settle." That's what true meditation is. You are not stopping thoughts. You are not fighting your mind. You are just letting things settle. Over time, you begin to see clearly. You see how much of your stress came from imaginary conversations in your head. You see how much energy you spent worrying about people who don't even think of you. You see how rarely you were truly present, your body here but your mind far away. This clarity is not something someone can give you. It is something that arises naturally, like a pond clearing after the storm has passed. Buddhism teaches something beautiful here. The mind is like the sky. The thoughts are just passing clouds. Some are white and light, some are dark and heavy, but none of them stay forever. And beyond the clouds, the sky is always blue, always clear. That clear sky is your true self. But what keeps you from seeing it? Attachment to thoughts, especially thoughts about others. She said this. He didn't respect me. They think I'm a failure. These are just clouds, but you treat them like the sky itself. You identify with them, follow them, and suffer because of them. Meditation helps you see, this is just a thought, not reality, not truth, just a sound in the mind. Now, here's something very practical. You don't need a cushion, incense, or a special room to meditate. You can begin right where you are. Just sit comfortably. Close your eyes if that feels safe. Bring your attention to your breath. Just the feeling of air going in and going out. If a thought comes, don't push it away. Just notice it and gently return to the breath. Do this for 5 minutes every day. Then slowly increase it to 10, maybe 15. That's enough to change your life. But more important than time is consistency. 1 minute every day is better than 1 hour once a month. You'll start noticing small things. You become less reactive. Someone says something harsh, and you don't instantly get angry. You hear gossip, and you don't feel pulled into it. You sit in silence, and instead of feeling restless, you feel peaceful. Why? Because you're coming back to yourself. When the noise of the world fades, your own voice becomes clearer. And that voice often tells you, you are enough. You're not here to impress everyone. You're here to live fully. The Buddha also taught about right mindfulness, the ability to be fully aware of what's happening right now, without judgment. When you walk, just walk. When you eat, just eat. When you breathe, just breathe. Most people eat while scrolling, walk while talking, breathe while worrying. So they never taste food fully, never enjoy a walk, never feel the breath. Mindfulness brings you back to this moment. And in this moment, there's no fear of judgment. There's no comparison. There's no, what will they say? There's only now, and now is always peaceful if you truly enter it. Let's speak of another small Zen story. A young monk asked his master, "What is enlightenment?" The master replied, "When hungry, eat. When tired, sleep." The monk said, "But don't we all do that?" The master smiled, "No. When people eat, their minds are full of many things. When they sleep, they dream of tomorrow. Enlightenment is doing one thing at a time, with full presence. You don't need to escape the world. You just need to come home to the moment. And in that moment, all the noise about others fades away. You don't feel the need to be seen, liked, or praised. You don't fear criticism or gossip, because you're not living in their minds anymore. You're living in your own awareness. And what a peaceful place that is. Remember, meditation is not a tool to escape life. It's a path to live it more clearly. It doesn't take you away from the world. It brings you deeper into it with wisdom and stillness. Start small. Be gentle. Don't expect silence instantly. At first, your mind may feel louder than ever. That's okay. That's normal. It's like dust rising when you begin to sweep. Just keep sweeping. Eventually, the floor becomes clean, and you realize the peace was always there. It was just hidden under the noise. Don't chase clarity. Sit with yourself. Be patient. Be kind. And one day, without effort, the clouds part, and you see the blue sky within. The true meaning of self-respect in Buddhism. Come closer, sit quietly. Let the noise of the world fall away for a while. You have walked far on this path, and now we are near the heart of something very important. Today, I will speak to you about something many people misunderstand: self-respect. Not the kind that comes from pride or praise, but the kind that is born from understanding. In this world, people often try to prove themselves. They try to earn respect by showing off their success, their strength, their beauty, or their knowledge. They think if others admire them, then they can finally feel good inside. But this is not self-respect. This is just a borrowed feeling. It rises when people clap, and it falls when they don't. Real self-respect in Buddhism is different. It does not come from the outside. It is quiet. It is simple, and it is powerful. It grows when you know yourself, when you accept yourself, and when you live by truth, not by trends. The Buddha did not seek anyone's approval. He walked alone many times, spoke truth even when no one believed it, and showed kindness even to those who hated him. Why? Because he had nothing to prove. He had nothing to defend. His respect for himself came from his deep understanding of life. Let me give you an example. Imagine a mountain. Strong, silent, steady. The wind may blow, storms may come, but the mountain does not beg for sunshine. It does not cry when the clouds cover it. It knows what it is. You too can be like that. When you begin to live with awareness and honesty, without hiding, without pretending, you start becoming a mountain in your own life. But there is something that stops people from feeling this way, and that is comparison. The mind says, she is better than me, or he is more successful, or I am not enough. But tell me, can a lotus compare itself to a sunflower? Can a river compare itself to a tree? They are different, and they are both beautiful. So, the first lesson of true self-respect is this: do not compare. Just understand. See your own nature clearly. Maybe you are gentle. Maybe you are quiet. Maybe you are not the loudest in the room. That's okay. You don't need to shout to have worth. You only need to know yourself honestly and walk your path sincerely. The second lesson is live according to your values, not according to fear. When you lie to fit in, when you act just to please others, your inner self becomes weak. You may smile outside, but inside, something feels lost. Buddhism teaches that when we go against our own truth, we suffer. But when we live in harmony with what we know is right, even if the world doesn't cheer us, we feel peace. And peace is the true form of self-respect. Now, you may ask, but Master, what if I make mistakes? What if I've lied, hurt someone, or failed? Then I tell you, that too is part of the path. In Buddhism, we don't run from mistakes. We learn from them. When you take full responsibility for your actions, without blaming others, and without hating yourself, you grow strong. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. A person who hides their faults becomes a prisoner, but a person who learns from them becomes free. You don't have to be perfect to respect yourself. You only have to be honest and willing to grow. Think of a cracked pot that still carries water, or a tree with broken branches that still give shade. You don't lose your value just because you're not flawless. Let me tell you a small story. A young monk once came to the Buddha and said, "Master, I feel small, unworthy. People don't listen to me. I don't think I matter." The Buddha looked at him gently and said, "Bring me a stone." The monk brought a small stone from the ground. "Now place it in the river," the Buddha said. The monk did so. Did the river stop flowing? The Buddha asked. "No, Master." The river flowed around it. "Exactly," said the Buddha. The river does not care if the stone is big or small. It flows around it. In the same way, the world will not stop for your doubts. It will keep flowing. But if you learn to sit still like the stone and flow freely like the river, you will know peace. And in peace, self-respect is born. So you see, self-respect is not about being better than others. It is about being true to yourself, even when it is difficult. It is about forgiving yourself again and again and starting fresh without shame. Another important thing, do not confuse arrogance with self-respect. Some people raise their heads too high and look down on others. They say, "I don't care what people think," but inside they are angry, bitter, and afraid. That is not self-respect. That is just a wall they built around their wounds. True self-respect is gentle. It allows others to speak. It listens. It doesn't need to win every argument because it knows being right is not as important as being kind. And being kind to yourself is the beginning of real dignity. So what can you do starting today? Sit quietly. Listen to your thoughts. Ask yourself, am I being honest? Am I living by truth or by fear? This is the Buddhist way, not to chase perfection, but to awaken. And when you awaken, self-respect follows like a shadow. Meditation also helps. When you sit and breathe, when you observe your mind without judgment, you realize your worth is not based on others' opinions. Your worth is in your presence, in your being. And from that silence, You start to walk differently, speak differently, live differently. You begin to notice that you don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to dress a certain way to be noticed. You don't need to achieve something grand to feel enough. You just need to be true, and life will respond in the most beautiful ways. And when others don't respect you, that's their path, not yours. You don't have to carry their opinions. You only need to carry your peace. The Buddha said, "As a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame." So today, you must ask yourself, do you want to be a leaf in the wind, or do you want to be the rock? The choice is yours. But I promise you, when you walk with awareness, with kindness, and with truth, you will feel something rise within you. Not loud, not proud, but calm and deep. That, my dear one, is self-respect. You have come far, but the journey continues. With each step, you'll learn not how to be better than others, but how to be better for yourself. That is enough. That is beautiful. That is the way. Breathe deeply, stand, and walk gently. You are worthy. Always. Walk your path. Let go of the world's weight. So, you've come this far. You have listened. You have reflected. You've walked with me through this journey, and now we are here at the last part. Let me ask you, child, are you still carrying the thoughts of others on your shoulders? Are you still waiting for someone to approve of your dreams? Are you still shaping your life just to fit into other people's small boxes? Let me tell you something. In all these years I have lived, I have not once seen the sky asking the trees for permission to shine. I have not once seen the mountain bowing to the opinions of passing clouds. And I have not once seen the river flowing backward because someone said it was not going in the right direction. You too are like the sky. You are the mountain. You are the river. But you've forgotten. Let me remind you gently. From the very beginning of your life, people have been telling you who to be, how to behave, what to do, and even how to think. Sometimes it was out of love, sometimes out of fear, but most of the time, they were simply repeating what they were told, like a broken chain passing from hand to hand. So the question is, will you continue the chain, or will you break it? The Buddha said, do not seek refuge in others. Seek refuge in the Dhamma, and in your own mindful awareness. He was pointing to something most people miss. Freedom does not come from being accepted. It comes from being awake. Yes, the awake. That means seeing clearly. It means understanding that everyone has their own mind, their own dreams, their own pain. And just like you, they are busy trying to survive. They're not thinking about you as much as you fear. Most people are only watching themselves. Their judgments are short-lived, but your suffering becomes long-term when you hold on to them. Let me tell you a little story. A young monk once came to me with tears in his eyes. He said, "Master, I tried to help someone and they misunderstood me. Now they're spreading lies about me in the village." I asked him, "Did you speak your truth with kindness?" He nodded. "Then what are you worried about?" I smiled. He looked confused. I said, "If someone throws dust at the sky, it falls back on their own head. If you act with honesty and peace, then even if others don't see it now, it will shine in time." That is what I tell you now, too. Live your truth, even if it's quiet, even if no one notices it right away, even if people doubt you, laugh at you, forget you. Because the fruit does not appear when the seed is planted. It comes in its own season. You don't need to shout to be seen. You don't need to perform to be loved. And you don't need to keep proving yourself again and again. You are enough when you live with clarity. The path of the Buddha is not about impressing others. It's about understanding your own mind and calming the fire inside you. Once the fire becomes gentle, you stop burning yourself for others' comfort. You start living. You start smiling without reason. You start walking without fear. And when someone says something harsh, it doesn't enter your heart like before. You hear it, but you no longer hold it. You simply return to your breath. That's all. The breath is your home. It brings you back. Always. So my dear friend, what now? Now you begin. Not to please. Not to escape. But to live. Slowly. Clearly. Freely. That is your way. That is the wisdom the Buddha left for us. Not in big words, but in small truths. You don't need to control what people think. You don't need to fix every misunderstanding. You don't need to carry stories that are not yours. You need only to be here, aware, gentle, steady. That is what true strength looks like. That is what real confidence feels like. It is not shout. It is not chase. It simply is. As we end this journey together, let me offer you this. Walk your path. Not theirs. Not your parents. Not your friends. Not the voices in your head shaped by society. Yours. Even if it's narrow. Even if it's quiet. Even if it's hard at times. That's where peace lives. Let them talk. Let them forget. Let them judge. Let them praise. Let all pass like wind. But don't stop. Keep walking. Each step you take mindfully, each time you choose peace over people-pleasing, each moment you forgive yourself instead of breaking yourself, you become lighter. And one day, without even realizing it, you will look back and smile. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You stopped living in their shadows. You stepped into your own light. So this is the final teaching, and perhaps the most beautiful one. Let go of the world's weight. Breathe. Bow to yourself. And walk, one peaceful step at a time. Before we part, I gently remind you, if these words touched your heart, if you felt even a small moment of truth while listening, then please don't keep it to yourself. There are thousands out there living with the same pain of overthinking, of trying to be accepted. Let them hear this too. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. If you found peace here, then like, comment, share, and yes, please subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your one act of kindness can bring light to someone else's dark day. And with that, may you live gently, may you walk wisely, and may you always remember, your life is yours. Be free.